Yeah, I think this is one of those questions that's, I think it occurs in a lot of businesses because the reception is one of the places, or for me, it is the place where the hardest work takes place. Not taking away from being a therapist or any other position in the business, but you are juggling so many different balls. And the pressure is on quite a lot of the time, and it can be quite a thankless position to be in because the therapists do their job, they quite often get the tips and so on, but a receptionist doesn't see any of that, and when what hits the fan, it's reception that takes the flak, or if there's a complaint, generally it's reception and so on. So I do think this happens quite a lot where the receptionist is feeling overwhelmed, and how do you support them in that? I mean, when we do reception coaching, we very much start to analyse how they're operating. Is it in a structured and thought out manner in the way in which they're operating? Do they know the realms of which they're able to operate in as well? Because I think a lot of the stress at reception comes from that. Are they able to deal with that? And if they are, how are they dealing with it? And what leeway have they got to deal with certain things? And that's with clients and with the team. So they're juggling all these different balls. So I think that the role for them needs to be very clear. So is their role very defined in what they're doing, what's expected of them, and what their boundaries are as to how they operate? And then how are they operating? What is the organisation behind their role? Are they doing things in a very structured and organised manner? Do they know that the telephone comes before a client? There's many different aspects that you can look at to help support the receptionist.
I feel we underestimate how much the role of reception has grown throughout the years, because in my days, we didn't really have social media to deal with. So nowadays they have to look at kind of messages on social. Maybe they also asked to take pictures or do some kind of form of social media. You also have an element of dealing with the suppliers, dealing with stock management. So everything on the reception level, a lot of owners thinking, well, we're going to ask reception to do that. We're going to ask reception to do that. And if you're really busy salon, you end up having a receptionist that perhaps, even if they've done it for a while, are quite overwhelmed.
Yes.
And exactly that. What is the structure? How do they communicate between the team, between the owners and or the management team? And a lot of time it's communication, but also, do you have meetings with your receptionist on a regular basis? What happened last week? What happens this week?
Yes.
And a lot of time we kind of don't tend to focus on that.
No, we don't. We focus on the manager and the team. But yet reception is the key and the heart of the business.
Of the customer journey.
Of the customer journey, yeah. So if that isn't operating right, then kind of, for me personally, I feel everything else around doesn't operate correctly, because I feel like reception holds, if you get a good reception, it holds the business together, and it sets the expectations in place from the very second the client walks through the door, or is greeted on the telephone. So I think it's just if ultimately they're feeling overwhelmed, it's that meeting, it's understanding what they're struggling with, why, and then really taking an overall look at it and thinking what you can do to support that receptionist. Is it that they need a little bit of coaching or a little bit of training with somebody else in the team or with you as the owner? Is it that they just need a more structured way of working? Do they need more rules and policies and procedures in place? Just what's missing?
But I feel that sometimes, as an owner or manager, we assume a lot.
Yes.
I've done reception before, now I've got receptionist, that's it.
Yeah.
She's fine or he's fine and that's it. We're going to just leave it at that. But actually, if you see the receptionist, or you kind of understand the receptionist is a little bit overwhelmed, and you can see there's, I don't know, she's missing some messages, or there's an element of the receptionist not being able to deal with customer complaints, feeling very overwhelmed. I always kind of say, go back to basic, which is go back to the shop floor, which is that there's a program, isn't it? Go back to shop floor
Yeah,
or whatever.
I think so.
Your boss
Yeah.
going back into
yes.
You know what I mean?
I can't think what that's called right now, but yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's like maybe go and work with the reception team for a good week or two to understand what is it that's missing, because you know the business inside out. You know what's going on, and you know how it should be functioning. So that will give you an idea of perhaps, is it an element of the operation that's missing? I'm thinking of the phone. To me, there's no right or wrong answer of, because if I'm in front of the receptionist as a client, as a customer, and I terribly sorry, I'm just going to answer the phone, I'm just a little bit like, well, come on, hurry up, I need to go. That annoys me a little bit.
Yeah.
But equally, if I can see the phone is ringing, no one's answering, as a client, I'm a little bit they're not really bothered with the client. So it's like a catch-22.
It is,
It's a chicken and the egg. So unless you are completely sure about the procedures and processes you want in the business, through that, then it's going to be a constant battle, and the reception's not going to know where they stand, I guess.
No. Also, that jogs my memory of when I had the front of house in the clinic, was that I really made sure that the team understood as well that they were there to support the front of house also. It wasn't just the front of house supporting them at times where, not that they could step in and do anything, but they are a team. Reception is part of that team.
Yeah.
And so everyone's there to support each other. So if you're a therapist and you're, got a 10-minute gap and you can see that reception is heaving, then go and support reception in terms of, just please take a seat, we'll be with you in a moment. Just something. If you're the receptionist on the phone and everything's happening, then I think it's just as important that other way around as well. So I just think that's quite a key element.
I mean, I used to make sure that every new staff member would spend 3 or 4 days at reception level, just to understand how they function, because then they were a lot more sympathetic to the receptionist if something happened or didn't happen. So it will allow them to understand, it's quite difficult in moments of, we know that it's going to be kind of quiet moments or moments of madness, isn't there, where everything happens at once. So if someone phones up sick, you've got all of these things to deal with. So it's so important that the team understands for sure. You understand and go back to those to the floor and understand what's going on, the communication. But also I feel there's an element of, and this is why we started the reception coaching, there's not much training out there in terms of how to become that kind of top receptionist. So you kind of learn as you go along. Yeah,
and again, I think that's just because it's an underestimated role. So I just don't think there's that much, I think quite often it's sort of, look, you just got to answer the phone and you just got to...
and it's quick to blame as well, isn't it? Like, it's reception, reception.
The bookings are wrong, it's...
Exactly. Very quick to blame, but yet it's not actually something that is a blame culture that you want to start. But do you find that with the receptionist, not everyone can be a receptionist?
Oh my goodness.
Which is
absolutely.
Ultimately when someone said to us, not long ago, I'm just putting the therapist, by different times at reception. Fine, it's suiting you for now, but not everyone's going to answer the phone properly or...
No, exactly. And again, I think if it's an hour's lunch or something like that, just to make sure that there's someone there covering the door and so on, fine. If that's the way it has to be, if you've just got one receptionist. But no, I completely agree. And if I think back to the days when I had that, and I think a lot of the team at the time thought it might be quite nice to be front of house. It's quite a nice role. And it is, it's my favourite role in the business. It definitely is. But actually, then when they get on there and they think, oh my goodness, this is way more than what they imagine. So I just think it is, it's just, they definitely need the support. They don't always get the support. I think they're the last ones to think of for training and for whatever else it is. And I think it's just a little bit of understanding. Like you said, I think that's a great idea. Get back onto the floor with them. Really understand it, and then put the things in place that we've just been speaking about to help support that.
Have meetings with them. I think that's to us when we talk to the receptionists. It's like, how often do you talk to the managers, or as and when? You should have weekly meetings. You should be really focused on what goes on at reception in order for it to work and properly, because it is the heart of that customer journey. So ultimately, you are possibly missing opportunities at reception level. And I remember when I did a mystery shop and that was on the phone, it took me 5 times because every time I was phoning, it was going on the answering machine.
Yeah.
And the answering machine was basically saying, the answering machine is full, please call again later.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Put the phone down.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, well, if I was a real customer as such, I would have gone somewhere else by now. Whose fault is that?
Yeah.
To me, the reception is not obviously operating properly because they're not checking the answering machine, but also the managers are not checking what the receptionist is doing.
Exactly.
And relying on the powers of the answering machine.
Yeah.
That's full.
Yes, yeah. No, absolutely.
So all you have to do now is press the subscribe button and join us every week for an Insight Chat.
And if you have any burning questions that we haven't yet answered, then just pop in the comments below or send us an email and we can include them in one of our weekly chats.
And also we have started this amazing community of like-minded salon owners to join us on a monthly basis with our Insight Chat subscription.
Yeah, on that chat as well, you'll also get access to lots of free downloads and content that can really support you in your business.
And thank you so much for listening.
And we'll see you next time.